I feel like we should probably do Lawson.
Yeah. So this is a really nice segue. If we talk about a guy who's not, I don't think he's a limited athlete. I don't think he's a bad athlete. I'd say he's a solid athlete, good in some areas, average in others. So if you have a guy like that, like we were just saying, you need to be almost perfect. Deontae Lawson is perfect, in my opinion. I just didn't see anything on the tape where I'm watching and I'm like, there were like 4 times total that I was like, yeah, he screwed up there. I have 3 negatives for him. Like that's the lowest of anybody. One of them is only slightly above average athleticism. The second is processor has shown a lot of elite flashes, but I would like to see a little bit more consistency. And then the third is he's not the strongest at the point of attack, and he needs to learn how to take on blocks with his hands a little bit better than just his body. And that's pretty much it. So I probably that's why I said I get you have him at 10. So if you just see a couple plays where you're like, I didn't love what I saw there, see a couple more plays like that where it dings him from almost perfect to pretty damn good at everything except for athleticism, then we have a problem and you think that he's a limited ceiling. But I think he's got the potential to be that guy who, yeah, he's a solid to good NFL athlete, but man, it's the mind that gets you there, because the positives for Lawson are just incredible. There is nobody smarter in this class than Deontae Lawson. There's nobody who knows the run game better. And in a class full of true juniors, it's really refreshing to see a 5th-year senior come in and just read everything really well and not give up the fucking cutback lane. He just never did. He never did, and that was such a breath of fresh air. He just doesn't give up the cutback lane. He's a renowned leader and captain at Alabama. Think about the constant talking of how much we loved Jalen Walker last year in that area, especially. It seems like Lawson is that kind of guy for Alabama, which is incredible. He reads not only, this is also something that Whit Weeks is very good at. He doesn't only read the play, but he reads the running back. And that's another thing. People get caught up in reading the play. They forget to read the running back. A big key is that you got to keep your shoulders, you got to keep your hips or shoulders, one of the two, square with the running back. So if they're running really far outside, your hips or your shoulders are open. All right, and I'm ready to chase you down. Something I thought Raylan Wilson really struggled at, and I think you can get more out of his athleticism if you just teach him how to mirror the running back. He does that to an elite level. So he just always reads the running back correctly. You're not going to beat him around the edge, not because he's got great athleticism, but because he's always in the right position. He's not going to be a step late because he's not a below average athlete. He's not even an average athlete. So he has enough athleticism to allow himself to really not lose anything from his elite processor and things like that. He's a sound tackler. I think his missed tackle rate is above 10%, but really I think it's a similar conversation to Demetrius Knight Jr. that we had in this past draft class. The amount of times where his ability to read the run puts himself in a position to make a tackle that otherwise would not have been possible is that's more of a reflection of that. And when you talk about these guys who are elite at the run, they're generally bad at the pass. Lawson's not that. He reads the QB's eyes better than almost anybody. He's still a good athlete moving backwards as he is forwards. He can cover tight ends. He reads the open space really well. He covers guys, not grass. Again, I'd like to see the processor improve, but man, I think it's almost there. There's just not much I don't like about Deontae Lawson. And if he was a better athlete, this is a Hall of Famer.
Victor, I think we watch different players.
All right, sure. Tell me.
So where it starts for me with Deontae Lawson is I think he's a borderline liability as an NFL athlete. I think his speed you can get by with. I think it's rough. I think it's probably a little bit above bottom of the barrel. His foot speed, I thought, was genuinely a liability. I saw very limited ability to tackle running backs who did cut back against the grain on him continually, where it was, I don't want to say an automatic miss if a running back hit him with a cutback move, but I thought when he did get him down, it was mostly because he's big and strong, and he got a muscular arm out there, and the running back didn't have the contact balance to stay up. I liked his play against the run. I would say he has an aggressive trigger, and I think his best athletic trait is his short area burst. That is excellent. He has huge
Agreed.
strides working against outside to wide zone where he can stay in position to make a tackle for a long time. It was more so when he has to turn the hips and actually sprint to get to the corner. That's where I didn't love it. But I did see him make mistakes against the run. I have in my notes more seeing it than anticipating it. I did see film study moments where he recognized something in the formation and he triggered on it hard, and the puller didn't even have a chance to get a piece of it before he was tackling the running back. I saw the same thing against the pass where sometimes he would recognize an RPO concept and he just slams on the accelerator and gets there in time using that short area burst and lays out the tight end on the stick route, and it's an incomplete pass and you love it. I hated everything else against the pass on a snap to snap basis, essentially. I didn't really see any ability to turn the hips and cover. Like I don't think you can play him in man coverage. He did mirror the running back, like running swing routes in man coverage. I want to clarify. I'm not just hating on him for the sake of hating on him, but I would never trust him against tight end because I think he has some of the worst hips in the class. I also just didn't really think he knew what was going on behind him. I thought he wasn't a liability, but he was kind of a non-factor most of the time. What I loved was his strength at the point of attack. I saw some Deontae Foreman to his game where you can rotate him down a little bit, and I saw him occupy guard center double teams with a little bit of pre-snap momentum. I love the way that he could just battle through blocks because, like you mentioned, I didn't even love his take-on technique. He wants to ram the shoulder through you, but I saw him do that extremely consistently, and nobody is running through him. Not a 225-pound bowling ball of a ball carrier, doesn't matter. He's going to get him down as long as that ball carrier doesn't have the agility to make him miss in space. So I see Deontae Lawson as an early downs banger who I think will have a role. It's just he's a fifth-year senior. He has some injury concerns as well. I don't ever think he's going to turn into a 3-down player, which is my linebacker 10. And I think we watched two different guys, like I mentioned before.
You're right. He sucks.
Sorry, good. I'm glad you agree.
No, man. I will say, to clarify, he is really strong, and I did see those moments at the point of attack. But yeah, there's just sometimes where I was like, you need to use that strength. Maybe that's a better. You use that strength at the point of attack. I just think we watch different players. I do think, as I said, I do think he's like not the best athlete of all time. I don't think he's nearly as bad as you were saying, but his biggest weakness is the hip tightness, and it does give me worry against, like, he's not a guy who can cover slots, right? But I do think it's good enough to cover tight ends. And yeah, I saw an almost perfect player who I really would have loved if he had better athleticism, but the athleticism wasn't going to hold him back from being a Pro Bowler. I don't think he's like an all-pro guy. I don't think he's ever a guy we're going to be talking about as, you know, when we're talking about the best linebacker in the league. I don't think Deontae Lawson is really going to be mentioned, but I can see him making a few top 10 linebacker lists. So yeah, very, very fun. This is why we do summer scouting, man. This is why we love it. So fascinating, really fascinating. That's probably, we thought we watched different players with weeks in York.
The Public Library will be closing in 15 minutes at 8 o'clock. Thank you.
You're welcome. We thought we watched different players with weeks in York. We didn't. We watched different players with Lawson.